Hey everybody, Ravenflower here. Just a few things. So it's coming upon a year for me to have been in therapy. And so here are some of the things that I've learned in therapy. It's been a rough ride. It has been pretty much constant shadow work for a solid year, and that's no fun. That's been no fun, and especially with COVID happening at the same time. So it's been a challenge, but I've learned some things. I am ending time with my therapist because it's just time at this course of action. It's just got to happen. And yeah, there are some things. First of all, I think that not only did I learn some very valuable tools in counseling, I really did. I learned all about the drama triangle. I learned about how different people will want to respond to you based on various levels of intensity. And it doesn't mean that you have to communicate with them there. Some people demand a very high level of intensity, which can be very, very high drama because they haven't learned how to not be drama or be a victim. And so they demand this level of intensity, and you give them this level of intensity, and they move on to somebody else. So I've learned that. I've also learned that there are certain things that are just me, and by going to this particular therapist, I am trying to create some sort of perfectionism that I believe is unattainable. And I kind of had a wake-up call over the last couple of days saying, who am I trying to be? At some point, I have to realize that I am me. Yes, there are things that I don't like about myself. Yes, there is some trauma that I need to heal from. But, you know, I have to remind myself, what was the goal of going to therapy for in the first place? Was it to be the very, very best version of me? Or was it to heal from past trauma so that I can work through certain relationships and make things better for myself there? And that's what it was. It really was. I was suffering from trauma response, PTSD, and some other things in customer service during COVID. And that's why I had started therapy or gone back into therapy. And I learned a lot of skills in regards to grounding yourself while you're in the moment, processing through, doing clearing modules, to try to ask clarifying questions to get yourself through certain incidences and disagreements with either family members or friends. I did that. Taking a big breath, checking into your body, making sure that you are being responsive in the right way, being responsive instead of reactionary, understanding what my trauma responses were, understanding what I wanted and what I needed from myself. So when I was having a trauma response or triggered, you know, I had to ask myself, what does Raven need right now? What does Raven need that Raven can give herself right now that doesn't need to come from another person? Something as a foster kid, as somebody who was in the entertainment industry long ago, and as a parent, you learn to wear various masks. And these masks are not something that you're really intending on doing, but yeah, you kind of are, because you go to work and you put a mask on. You're not supposed to bring your work to your home life to work. So you put a mask on and you pretend like everything's okay, and you do a lot of smiling. Right? Okay. this right here, when you don't really mean it, can actually do you damage. That's something that happens. And I was there. I was burnt out. I have been working this entire pandemic. I was very lucky in the fact that I had my office for the most part to myself. I did have an assistant last summer. I don't have one this coming summer, but that was the only time that I really shared the office, unless a board member was in there and we masked up and all that other stuff. But for the most part, I've been working this entire time. I didn't have a whole lot of time off or anything like that because of the pandemic. I've been doing my very best and trying to find loopholes and trying to make sure that I served my community in which I work, but also being appropriate and keeping them at a distance, because some of them didn't even believe that COVID was real, and that was very difficult. So that was the reason why I got into counseling, because at one point I had somebody screaming at me in the window, in the little walk-up window, and they were yelling at me that there was no walk-up window, and I shouldn't call it a walk-up window when there is no walk-up window. And I just looked at them and I had to say, did you walk up to this window? Because if you did, then you're at the walk-up window. It had to be that basic, man. It sucked. It sucked real bad. But they screamed and screamed and screamed at me, and there was just so many, volatile people that I guess were just sick and tired of being told no during the pandemic, that they didn't care about anybody else's health, anybody else's feelings, and they just launched at me. I was convenient to be launched at. And I put myself back in counseling, because I was like, why am I shaking? Why am I so upset right now? Why can't I let this go? And there were a lot of things in my past that I thought that I had healed from, but I hadn't. And I was trying to be an adult and work on these things and heal from past trauma so that I can get to a healthier lifestyle. I know that on my Truth Talk with Crimson, I came out as having some thoughts. We won't go into that here because I think we've covered it ad nauseum at this point, and it's not something that I'm really excited or comfortable talking about. I've already let that go as part of my story, and I've released that. Sometimes thoughts do come back, and I have to like beat them away with a stick, really, truly. But I was, probably at my darkest, and I think that's where I hit the bottom, and I'm coming back up. So that's very exciting. In regards to surgery and all that other stuff, I go for my A1C test tomorrow, and my readings have been really super good. So I'm excited about that. I am at my goal and sometimes even below the goal, which is fantastic. So my blood sugar reading should be 150. And I have had a few of them that have been lower than 150. But for the last few days, things have been going really, really well, and the overall average for the day have been lower than 150. So I feel good about going for my fasting blood sugar test tomorrow, and I'm hoping that I get an A1C of 8 or less. If that is the case, then I am able to call the surgeon and schedule surgery. I'm hoping that that will happen sometime in July. I can't determine when that's going to be, because even if the blood sugar is good and I'm able to call and schedule surgery, it doesn't mean that surgery is going to happen that next week. It depends on their availability, and I understand that. Although at work that complicates my life, because I work in the way I work, I have a board of trustees that is above me. That's 9 different people, and they change out. Half of them change out, or say 3 or 4 of them change out each year. So that's beginning to happen at the end of July. So I'm hoping that my surgery happens before then and I don't have to burden the next board members with my surgery and all that other stuff. So I'm being mindful of that. But those are all good things, and I think that good things are going to happen. Even if it gets pushed out into August, then that's still a thing. And people have asked me, is the witchy meet and greet still happening? Absolutely, the witchy meet and greet is still happening. I will make sure, and even if I can't get a surgery before September, it will not be happening during that time frame. I am feeling much better. I do have the hernias still. There's 2 of them, yes. And depending on my movements, I can actually feel them. And sometimes it bulges out a little bit more than the other. And it's a little odd. It's a little odd. It's a little weird. But I was told by my surgeon that it would be a mesh surgery because I have had several surgeries for gallbladder removal as well as hysterectomy and some other laparotomies. And so I am not a candidate for somebody who would just get a little stitch fix and go. I would definitely have to have a mesh. It would be an overnight stay and then probably a week to 2 to heal. Being the fact that I'm diabetic, things are going to heal a little bit slower. I'm really, really crossing my fingers for a 1 week heal time so I could get back in the office and get things going. If you haven't known this about me yet, I am one of those people that actually really enjoy working, and I actually get depressed if I'm not being productive. So I need to work. So there's that. I want to get back though to things that I've learned while counseling. So in this past year, I've been really hypersensitive. I have been having self-confidence issues. I have been questioning, my lifestyle. I've been questioning my spiritual path. I've been questioning all different kinds of things and trying to moderate, or that's probably not the right word, trying to make little like micro changes in the way that I do things to see if a different, how do I say it? Making sure that, trying to see if the different things or different ways of going about things would change my overall feeling about it. I'm not articulating this well, and I do have problems with articulation, and the fact that you're a subscriber to my channel says a lot about you, that you're a very patient person, so I appreciate you. But I, along the way, because I had joined counseling for some very in-depth immediate need, probably should have stayed in counseling for about 6 months, 6 to 8 months. And I am coming up on my year mark at this point, and I'm finding that I'm not really talking about anything truly important, and I'm paying somebody to listen to me, and I'm not so sure if they're helping anymore. And so I will be ending things with this therapist, and I'm going to be taking a break. I'm going to be taking a break from counseling for, probably a few months. I think that because I've had those thoughts before, and that has happened over the course of my life, that I will put myself back into counseling, if anything, just as a maintenance program, but with maybe somebody not so intense, because the person that I am seeing is can be real intense at times, and I think that I am a sensitive soul and I'm not taking it very well, and it's actually making me more self-conscious and more of like a spotlight on certain things that I didn't ask to be changed. So while I believe that those people with chemical imbalances should be on meds, that is your choice. You can choose to be off meds, you can choose to be on meds. I do not judge you in any way, shape, or form. There are people out there that definitely need them. I'm currently not on meds. In counseling, having a counselor, a psychotherapist, a psychologist, whatever you want to call it, psychology, psychiatrist, all of those things are good things. And I think those are steps that people take in order to become a healthier, more well-rounded person. So that way you can be the best version of yourself. I think that self-examination, no matter how you do it, whether that be journaling, whether that be talking to a friend and asking, hey, am I fucked up if I say blah, blah, blah? Or does this sound right to you? Or any of that stuff. Just that checking in and is self-responsibility. I mean, it's huge. I'm one of those people that will overthink something to death. That is part of my Virgo-ness, and then my double Scorpio is all emotion. So I've got to check myself. I really, really got to check myself so that I don't get out of bounds. A younger Raven was somebody who really got high on anger. I don't want to be that person anymore, and honestly, it's quite unhealthy to be that way. But being in customer service, being a mother, being a wife, being these things, you end up wearing all these different masks to suit the person that is your audience. Having been an actress and a performer in my younger days, we've talked about this. So I was an extra in the movie Annie. I was an extra on the show 90210 back in the 90s. Been in quite a few theater productions and all that jazz. And I learned very quickly that to get attention that I really needed from a different aspect in my life that wasn't happening, I could get that feeling of love where I wasn't getting it over here. I was getting it through performance. But performance is a fickle beast, I'm telling you right now, because it depends on who your audience is. Really depends on who your audience is, and your audience sometimes doesn't have your best interest at heart. So that being said, I say you, it's really me. So I found myself being funny, being bold, being very outspoken, fighting for other people's rights, but not for mine. Doing all different kinds of things that were actually trauma responses that didn't register to me at the time. It does to me now. And now we're going into summer. I'm about to be 47 years old, which just saying that out loud makes me feel a certain way. It doesn't make me feel bad. It doesn't make me feel good either. I thought that I would have accomplished more at this time in my life than I had. But when again I say you, when I write it down on the things that I did accomplish in life, I've really fought tooth and nail to get where I am here, and here is not a bad place. No, I don't have a college degree, but I am college educated. No, none of my kids are like super close by. We have Amber that lives with us, but she's doing her own thing. She's very busy. She's working all these jobs and trying to get to her next level. You know, I thought that I would have a family that was constantly surrounded, and we were doing family dinners and helping cook, everybody in the kitchen and running and gunning and doing all this other stuff like they did when they were teenagers. And that it was a something that I anticipated that wasn't really up to me. That was not realistic. And I wasn't thinking about their needs. And then when I had to think about that, I'm like, what were you doing, Raven, at their age? And I'm like, oh, I was a mom. I was a mom at that age. Isn't that crazy? I was a mom at 21. And you know what? I have had somebody, a very close friend, that wants me to do a truth talk of my story. And I'm planning on doing that soon. So get ready for that, because that's going to be a tear jerker. You're going to have a big box of tissues, because I honestly don't know if some of you guys are strong enough to handle my story. It's going to be hard, but I'm willing to share it, because I think that there's quite a few of you out there that can appreciate and resonate with some of what I'm saying. So, saying that, one of the big things that I think I did during this time frame, at least in recent months, is that I somehow lost myself. And if you're hearing the AC go on right now, it's because my cat just turned it on accidentally, because she jumped on there. Hold on one second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. All right, so I feel like I've lost myself somewhere. There was this fight in me. And while I realized that I didn't need to fight about everything all the time, all these masks that you wear, you know, whether it's work Raven, whether it's mom Raven, whether it's wife Raven, whether it's whatever Raven it's got to be at that time, I always felt like I needed to be a certain way, like I needed to be more palatable for my audience than what I needed to be for myself. And I fractioned out myself in order to serve other people and forgot about myself. I just fucking forgot about myself. I let my health go. I am like super stressed out, you know, a lot of the time, and then trying to then I'll go through these waves where I'm good, and then oh, I'm not, and then oh, here it comes again, and this roller coaster of emotions, and this roller coaster of who do I need to be right now for this person is exhausting. I'm tired of doing it. I have to be me for me. I have to do what I need to do. And it had been presented to me in not the kindest way by our youngest daughter, but she was absolutely right. She was absolutely right. And this is a time of self-discovery for me. I have this amazing necklace, and I know that I told you guys about this the last time. I showed you a little picture of it. Let me just lean up here so you guys can see it. This is the little necklace that my friend Christine gave me to remind me that I am part of the badass tribe. It means a lot. Something you should know about me is that my mother was such a piece of work that she would take me from household to household, whether they be neighbors or close friends or family or whatever, around the time that school was happening, right before school had started. And she would take me in clothes that were too tight or, you know, didn't quite fit, or like pants that were like real high waters, or stuff that had stains or holes in it. And she would collect money from people. She would parade me around as kind of like a little hobo, and would get money from people that felt bad and wanted to help me. And she would buy me a couple of things, but most of the time she didn't. And she just made me wear the same clothes. Sometimes I even go to school in her own clothes, an adult's clothes. You know, like it was a t-shirt that she would put a belt around and make it a dress or things like that. And I understand that times were hard and tough, but it was wow, because she took all that money that everybody gave her and used it on whatever she used it on. And I can't honestly say what that was. But it was rough goings. So I have difficulty asking for help. I have it gives me a lot of anxiety and grief to sometimes be vulnerable with people I don't know fully. It's like you've got to earn that vulnerability, and it's very difficult to describe. It's like if you're going to see the real me, like I feel confident talking to a camera right now because I know I'm talking to a camera. But the truth of the matter is I can't see the face on the other side. I can't see behind those eyes on the other side of this camera who's getting this video, who's watching this video. I can't see it. So I feel like this is just a confessional, and I'm able to just talk to you after being 5-6 years on YouTube. It's gotten real comfortable for me. However, I only let certain people in to my circle, and Christine had to work hard for that, really, really hard. And I feel bad that I couldn't be available to her when she was making herself available to me. So I have a little bit of regret in regards to that, because there are people in our lives that they're not coming at you to get anything from you. They're there to help you. And sometimes in our brokenness, we don't see that. And although I connected with Christine right off the bat, I knew she was somebody that, was important, and I denied her for several months because I was scared to get close to somebody else, because I thought really, truly the end game is that they're just going to hurt me. They're just going to say something that's going to hurt me. They're just going to do something that's going to hurt me. And I have to start all over square one or whatever. So it's just easier to just hide in my house and watch Netflix and, do research on witchcraft or tea leaf reading or hieroglyphics or all this other stuff. And I'm like not truly living my life, because I thought that if I just hid away, I could somehow get over whatever hump was going on and move past it. But the truth was, and I'm now finding this out in counseling, that I wasn't truly working through it. I wasn't really processing it. I was only prolonging my grief and my pain. So let me get back to the point. So yes, I've learned a lot in counseling, and I think that having been in counseling for actually a good chunk of my life, while I was a child, I was in counseling for a while. While I was a teenager, I was in counseling a lot. And while I was a young adult, I was in counseling a couple of different times. And then now, currently at this stage in my life, I think I was ready to learn some harder truths, some deeper issues, and shift them and process through them. So even if you have been in counseling before, you might want to get a different counselor, a new counselor now, because you might learn something new. The universe is going to present itself in a way that you're ready to deal with. I learned that being triggered is actually your subconscious ready to deal with problems. That's something. I learned all about the drama triangle. I think I'm repeating myself now. I've learned so much about different coping mechanisms and other different dependencies that we have, whether those be codependencies with people or different coping mechanisms with drugs and alcohol that some of us, use to try to deaden or numb certain pains and not do the work and process through them. That's a thing. I learned real hard this time who my tribe is, who really my tribe is. And just because somebody is friendly and willing to listen to you does not mean that they have your best interest at heart. Some people will use that, as I'm sure some of you know. Some of them will use that as a way to try to hurt you later. It may sound very good and wonderful at first, but then it turns into something else. I know who my people are. I absolutely know who my people are, not by their words, but absolutely 100% by their actions. By their actions, I know who my people are. I know who love me unconditionally. If you find those people, you hold on for dear fucking life. I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. But the one major thing that I learned in counseling is that, having been in it for a prolonged time, there was a part of me that I was denying. Some of my primal instincts, some of my silly ways, some of my boisterousness, my creative side, my silly, antics and things like that, I was really dampening, because I thought, oh, it's time to be serious now. You've got to be serious, Raven, because you're an adult and you've got to be serious. And there's a lot of suffering that comes with that. There's a lot of suffering that comes from that. So even when you are in counseling, please, please remember not to lose who you actually are. Very, very good friend of mine, Snow Orchid. Snow the Witch, she should be a counselor. Anyhow, we were having a conversation the other day, and I'm like, where do I find my authentic self? And she had said something so wonderful, and of course I'm not going to say it verbatim because I can't remember it verbatim, but mainly, those times after you were like a total bitch and, throat punch somebody, not that you were actually going to do that, but when you fly off the handle and you said everything that you wanted to say and you were super mean, and you have this moment of that moment when you take that breath and you're, or that time that you had just finished your cry because you had such a horrible trauma trigger or whatever, and you cried it out and you allowed yourself to process that pain, that sadness. And when you take that breath and you go, and it's over, right? When you're done with that massive, intense emotion and you're just left as you, that's your authentic self. That's you. So what are those things that, quote unquote, spark joy? Not to say that it was the Netflix show spark, the tidying up. I'm not saying that. But what gives you joy in life? That's your authentic self. Authenticity is 100% personal, and it's not something that can be generalized, and it has nothing to do with what somebody else thinks that you should be. It should be what you think. It should be what makes you happy. You're you. You're the only person that can answer that. Ain't nobody else gonna. Because what they will do, even those people that are close to you and love you and think that you know you super well, the truth of the matter is they aren't you. They aren't you. And Subconsciously, they may lead you down something that they think they want you to be because that would suit them. These are tough truths. But being comfortable in one's skin is really difficult. It's really difficult. You would think that it would get better with age, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of things flapping about. And trying to figure that out has been a massive process for me, and I don't think that it'll ever be over until the day I die. I don't. I'm one of those people, one of those kinds of people that is always self-reflecting, always trying to get to the next level, understand why somebody does something, why I did something, why was that, how was that. I was one of those very inquisitive toddlers that probably didn't shut up, God forbid. I'm so sorry, people who took care of me. I'm just one of those people. But what I do know about myself is that I am super tenacious. I am a fighter. I am a creative mind that has a lot to give. I love to plan things and organize things. I love to create experiences for people that make them feel special. I love my practice. I love witchcraft. I love witchcraft, if anything more than the fact that I can 100% customize it to my needs. I am not chasing a dogma. I am not doing what a church wants me to do. I am not put in my place. I am there intuitively listening to the universe and my soul and my heart, and making things happen for myself and my family. I don't know if people talk about that very often. I don't hear them talking about it very often. It's always like what you need to do and how you need to run your altar, or what you should be saying or what you shouldn't be saying, and the research you should be doing. But the truth of the matter is, this practice, this path, it's so freeing. It's so freeing. You're able to come into your own self, and understand who you are. And I am highly considering taking a master class, and I sent it to a couple of friends today, by RuPaul. I know RuPaul, right? Of all people. I love Ru. I love him. I think he's amazing and a fantastic role model for so many. But something he had said in the little master class trailer, he is teaching a master class about self-love, authenticity, and it was like showmanship or something like that. But he had said, he's like, you're born naked and the rest is drag. Those things that we put on are not necessarily us becoming a different persona. We were that persona before we put that stuff on. It just highlights it. It just shows it. And when I dress up like a big old fancy witch for these meet and greets, I had to remind myself, where am I the happiest? When I dress up for Renaissance Festival, and when I put on these meet and greets and I'm introducing this person to that person, and they're making a connection and getting to the next level as far as their path goes, or friendship, because they were lonely and they needed that one person. I might not have been that person, but I was the catalyst in order to get them to that person. That's something that the universe used me for to better their life. And I'm all about it. I'm absolutely all about it. I am super happy when I'm traveling, experiencing other cultures and places and ley lines. This is a thing. Understanding the various rhythm that the new location has. Just tapping into that. makes me so happy. I'm happy with surrounded by my critters. I've got my kitty cat right here sitting underneath me. Oh, there she is. She's like, yes, mama. Around my critters, my kitties and my pup, feeding the birds and all that other stuff, knowing that there isn't any pretense that comes with that. These are just innocent souls that want to make a connection, and their connection is very primal food, right? And through that food, through my offerings to them, we establish a relationship. It feeds my soul. In my garden, when I can hold a little seed in my hand and put forth my intention, my energy into that, and tending it and letting it grow into a gorgeous plant that then feeds me, I'm so grateful and so happy. Listening to all different genres of music, and tapping into that rhythm feeds me. It's amazing. Now through what I've learned for self-care and taking care of, my blood sugar, my diet, soon to be exercise, those kinds of things. I can't exercise right now because I'm not supposed to until after the surgery and all that stuff. But through self-care, you start to feel better mentally, obviously physically, emotionally, all these things. Through that self-care comes amazing happiness and gratitude for all those other things that were really a gift all along, that I somehow along the way just sort of took advantage of. These are the things that I learned in counseling over the last year. I may not be the same person. I think that I've evolved and changed in some ways. There's still a lot of me that is still a little wackadoodle, and I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm learning that I don't have to be, and that's okay. And it's also okay not to be okay sometimes. It's okay to ask those questions, and it's okay to reach out. We have all gone through some of the most horrific months in U.S. and world history with this pandemic, and coming out of it is causing a little bit of anxiety in me because I don't know what the next steps are, but I'm learning to be kind, and I'm learning to take a beat, take a breath, and realize that I'm a lot stronger than I ever thought I was, and trying to dictate or manage it was maybe a little like pretentious of me. Like who are you thinking? Like sometimes you just got to let it unfold, and you have to learn to just ride that wave. I think there was a saying that what is it? There's the difference in being in the storm and learning to ride the wave, or learning to sail in the storm. I'm gonna have to find it and write it somewhere in the description box. But anyhow, 43 minutes in right now. I see you on my little monitor here. So I'm gonna love and leave you, and I hope that you guys are having a wonderful night, day, morning, wherever you are in this world, and understand that your responsibility is to you first. It's to you first. And I hope that you find what makes you happy today, and I hope you live the best day that you can, and make every day that happiness. Make every day, because we really don't know how long we're going to be here for. We really don't know. So make it the best that you can. Lift somebody else up. Ask yourself the hard questions, process through it. Don't be afraid to do that, because I think that you truly, truly find yourself on the other end. Your happy self is waiting there for you, waiting for you to wake up. And now that you're awake, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with it? Now that you're fully awoke, what are you going to do now? You are the only person that can answer that question. So I thank you very much for allowing me to come on this channel and share with you some very deep and dark stuff and some very vibrant and happy things. I thank you for coming along and having patience with me as I'm trying to figure this out. Know the work never ends, and it will never end, but I do remember who I really am, and I'm willing to take some steps now to embrace that a little bit more fully. I thank you very much, and I wish you many blessings. Until next time, see you later. Bye, you guys.